The bond between a mother and her child is certainly one of the many mysteries of the universe. After all, only a mother can understand how strong her bond with her child is. And believe me, the love between the two can end up performing true miracles. And that's exactly what we'll see in today's video. So leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and let's go to the video. Amelia Bannan, a woman who lives in Argentina, was known to be someone very brave. After all, she had one of the most dangerous jobs. Amelia was a police officer. Undoubtedly facing bandits every day, risking her life must take a lot of courage. However, what she didn't expect was that what really put her life at risk wasn't any police work. One day, she and her partner were taking a road trip in their car. They weren't answering any calls or out making rounds. In fact, they were on their way to a course that would be given to several police officers so that they could be well prepared for any situation. However, soon something would happen that would put the woman's life in serious trouble. When they were in the middle of a curve, the driver of the car lost control, went off the road, and ended up flipping over. I don't think I need to say how dangerous this kind of accident is, even more if we take into account that the car was at high speed. Of course, within the limits of the law. Fortunately, Amelia's partner managed to survive the accident, with some bruises, but fine. However, we can't say the same about her. At some point during the accident, she suffered head trauma, which created a blood clot in her brain. Amelia luckily didn't lose her life, but she ended up suffering something horrible. Even though help arrived very quickly at the scene, that clot ended up putting Amelia in a coma. Immediately, she was taken to a hospital where doctors did everything they could to help her. But unfortunately, Amelia didn't regain consciousness. As soon as her family heard about the terrible accident, they all rushed to the hospital, and when they got there, they received bad news from the doctors. They explained that a person in Amelia's situation could either wake up in the next few hours or never come out of the coma again. Of course, all this must have come as a huge shock to Amelia's relatives, but everyone agreed that they shouldn't give up hope. Although it was expensive to keep a comatose person in the hospital, they'd do their best to help her in hope that she would regain consciousness. But there was an even bigger problem than Amelia's health. In fact, it wasn't just her life that was in danger. The woman was about 6 months pregnant. So the baby's life was also at stake. But luckily, there was still a chance that the child could be born normally. According to experts, in summary, a person can be in a coma in two different ways. The first one is when the person completely loses consciousness, as if she were in a deep sleep. The other is when the person is conscious and often can even hear or see what's happening around them, but completely lose control of their body. However, in both forms, it's possible for the internal organs to continue to function normally, and that was the case with Amelia. Although she was apparently unconscious, her body continued to function, and thus her child was still able to develop inside her belly. So little Santino had a completely normal gestation period, and although he was born a little too early, he was very healthy. Well, just the fact that this woman kept her child alive and even managed to go into labor while she was in a coma would be an incredible story, but something even more impressive was about to happen. As we already mentioned, Amelia's family never lost hope, and they did everything they could to keep her in the best hospital possible. And obviously, several of them visited her every day, bringing her flowers and even talking to her, hoping she might be listening. But now they would have to do something else for Amelia. After all, she couldn't take care of her newborn son. And the child's father didn't even show up at the hospital, not even to see his own son. So one of them would have to take care of little Santino. In his first month of life, he remained in the hospital, where not only would he be close to his mother, but he would also receive medical care. After all, he'd been born prematurely, so he needed to be kept under observation. But after that period, someone would have to stay with Santino. And although everyone helped, that responsibility was left in the hands of Amelia's aunt and brother, who took the baby to their home and took care of him. And while it's not recommended that a newborn child leaves home when Santino turned 3 months old, Amelia's family took him to the hospital to visit his mother. But they had no idea how this meeting would turn into something magical. As he laid in bed next to his mother, Amelia began to move, something she hadn't done since she'd slipped into the coma. Suddenly, her family starts to hear a whisper of what seems to be the word yes. Obviously, everyone was extremely happy. After all, that meant that Amelia was really getting better and regaining her consciousness. With renewed hope, they began interacting with Amelia, hoping that she would somehow be able to respond. And suddenly a miracle happened. When her brother asked her to stick out her tongue in case she was awake, Amelia responded by doing exactly what he asked. According to the doctors, it was very unlikely that Amelia would wake up from her coma, but that was exactly what was happening. In addition, it's proven that many people who fall into a coma end up losing their memory. But in Amelia's case, it was the other way around. After all, she not only seemed to recognize everyone around her, but mostly she seemed to know that the boy was her son. And from then on, whenever she was with Santino, Amelia began to show various signs of improvement. At first, all she could do was blink her eyes and answer yes or no to a few simple questions. But soon she was able to speak normally with her relatives and was awake most of the time. Surely recovering from a coma couldn't have been easy, and it must have taken a lot of effort on Amelia's part. But although she'd already shown much improvement, her struggle was far from over. Many people who recover from a coma end up losing control of their body, and as a result they can no longer walk or stand. However, for Amelia, giving up was out of the question. She said that her greatest wish was to be able to play with her son, take him to school, and return to her normal life. That's why every day she did her best in treatments and therapies to regain movement in her legs. And after some time, and certainly with a lot of effort, Amelia actually managed to walk again. In fact, her brother, who had stayed with Santino while she was in the coma, took a photo recently in which Amelia holds her son, showing that she's doing very well and is slowly getting her life back. But what is it that helped that woman to recover in such an incredible way? Although doctors say this is a medical mystery, Amelia's family believes it's a true miracle. According to them, the desire to be with her son, who visited her every day, was what motivated her to recover as quickly as possible. Well, whether that was what really motivated her, we don't know. But surely, we can't doubt that the love a mother has for her child will motivate her to do anything. Certainly, many mothers do the possible and the impossible for their children. That's what another mother did. She had to raise 4 children alone, even though she didn't have a good job. And although everyone criticized her, especially for living with her children in an abandoned shipping container, they ended up being surprised when they saw the woman's real home. If you want to know this incredible story, just click on the video that's appearing on your screen, and we'll see you there.